Bantamweight Sean O'Malley. Sean, thank you for the time, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will take the first question from Caroline Pierce with BT Sport.
Weird not seeing anyone.
Caroline, you're unmuted and good to go.
Hi, Sean. I've got to say, I love the hairstyle. Tell us about this choice for fight week.
It's kind of happened. I wanted to do it. I think we had talked about doing it for my debut actually, but I wanted to get a couple wins in UFC and then make a statement. Be kind of get a couple wins in before we did it. But about 2 weeks ago, we decided to do it.
Well, it certainly looks good, and it's definitely a statement. Look, you have been making a statement in the UFC so far, and you said that you want a viral knockout, a knockout that's going to go viral against Eddie Wineland. What does that look like? Talk us through how the perfect finish will look for you.
Yeah, last time I said those exact words on the viral knockout, I ended up knocking out David Nuzzo in spectacular fashion. In my opinion, it's a little biased, but one of the sweetest knockouts ever. And I feel like this is going to be a perfect matchup for something like that to come about.
What makes this such a perfect matchup for you? You've said that previously, you said it earlier this week, that it's the perfect opponent for you to showcase what you do. Why is that?
Low hands are low. He's a brawler. He's not going to come out there and try to lay on me. The cage is small. He's probably going to try to get started right away, try to be aggressive, and it's kind of what Jose Quinones tried, and it didn't work for him. So whether he comes forward and pushes the action, he'll get knocked out, or if he lets me push him backwards, he'll get knocked out. So it just works out perfect.
You mentioned the smaller cage. Have you had a chance to get into the apex, into the cage, and just get a feel for that different size? I mean, I know you've experienced it yourself before Contender Series, but have you had another little walk around and got familiar with it again?
Yeah, I was there this morning. I was able to stand in there, and it is noticeably smaller than recent cages, but we spar in pretty small cages, so I don't think it'll play an issue. And like you said, the Contender Series was a smaller cage, and Alfred got knocked out, so I think it doesn't really matter too much the size of the cage.
Now, do you think the stakes are higher for you in this fight than they are for Eddie? I mean, Eddie's been around a long time. He's trying to sort of stay in amongst it. But for you, you're on this surge upwards. Is there a certain amount or a feeling that, the stakes are high for you, especially given the other bantamweight talent that are on the UFC 250 card this weekend?
Yeah, the stakes in the bantamweight division are super high right now with those other fights. Cody, Assunção, Aljo, and Corey. But I feel like I'm kind of taking a lot of the hype away from those fights, even, which is good. That's what I'm here for. It's pure entertainment. And the nice thing is I have the real legitimate skill level to back it up. It's not just the crazy hair and the tattoos, the personalities. I have legitimate high level mixed martial artist skills. So I'm excited to go out there and show that and keep climbing up.
And what will a win here do for you in terms of climbing up? What sort of opponent do you think it gets you next? Have you allowed yourself to think ahead a little bit as to what name you might call out if you get that opportunity on the mic afterwards?
I'm pretty good about keeping focused on the fight I have ahead of me, especially with Eddie. In those little gloves, anything can happen. But we haven't thought about too much for who's the next opponent. It kind of depends on how we get out of this fight. If I'm injury free and ready to go in a couple weeks, a month, we'll see who's coming off a win, and there's a lot of things that play out. If Fight Island happens, then we can start looking at other opponents not inside the United States. So right now you're pretty limited. But I think it doesn't really matter who I fight next. It's going to be a big fight. It's going to be exciting. People are going to want to watch. So I don't think it matters too much who I fight next.
Talking of Fight Island, is that something that excites you?
It kind of depends where it's at. If it's somewhere where it's going to be super hot and just not comfortable and I have an option, I don't know. It would be kind of hard to turn it down just to do it once. Fight Island is going to be legendary. It's hard to turn down fights in Vegas, though, if they continue to do them here. 4-hour drive, having a vehicle. They put us in a nice hotel this time, and it's hard to beat.
Well, your stock and your confidence is growing all the time. We love the confidence. It's infectious. What message do you want to give to your fans that will be tuning in to watch you?
Yeah, just tune in. That's it. that's all you got to do is tune in, and it's going to be exciting.
We look forward to it. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
And we'll take our next questions from Agnian Georgiev with Max Sports Bulgaria.
Hello, Sean. In 2017, you made 4 fights, 2 of them in UFC, and in the next 2.5 years, you fought just twice. How tough was for a young talent like you just to train and not being able to fight because of the surgery and suspensions? And how do you motivate yourself during that time to stay focused in trainings?
Kind of hard to hear the question. Could you repeat? I got most of it, just like the end of it.
Okay, I was asking, in the last 2.5 years, you've got just 2 fights. For a young talent like you, was it tough just to train without fights because of the problems with the surgery and the suspensions? And how you motivate yourself to do only the trainings?
It wasn't hard to continue to train for a while there. Right after the news that I wasn't able to fight, it was definitely a little depressing, and it wasn't like I was getting up in the morning excited to go to the gym. I did stay pretty consistent shortly after, but a couple weeks after, I was back to, okay, I'm going to fight again. I know that 100%. I'm going to eventually fight again, and I don't want it to get there and me look back and wish I had trained and taken advantage of all this time to get better. And that was my mindset for probably 95% of the whole 2 years. And I did have 2 surgeries within those 2 years, and I think those 2 surgeries helped me become the athlete that I was, the full potential of the athlete I could become. I think that's a huge part of why I'm so successful, is how athletic I am. And I had some injuries that wasn't allowing me to be that athlete. And then I really upped my jiu-jitsu, my diet, my discipline, and everything within those 2 years. So I really look back and think of that as a positive experience rather than a negative experience.
One last for me. What was your New Year resolution? You started very impressively in 2020, but what are your plans for this year?
Yeah, I'd like to, get out of this fight just like last fight, healthy, and fight in a couple months, couple weeks. It doesn't matter. It depends how healthy I get out of this fight. I'm in such good shape right now. If I can go in there and get an earlier first round knockout and have no injuries, I don't see why I can't fight in a couple months. So maybe 2 more times this year would be ideal.
Thank you, Sean. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll take our next questions from Roman Modrowski with ESPN.
Hi, Sean. Hey, I want to get your thoughts on how you see the Sandhagen-Sterling fight unfolding, and I want to see what your prediction for that one is.
Yeah, when it's that high level of MMA, it's hard to predict. Both those guys are such high level bantamweights that it really could go either way. In the smaller cage, I think that gives Aljo a little bit of it benefits him a little more. But I think Corey's footwork's it's so hard to say, but I do see Corey winning. I think he's just a little bit better on the feet. He's gonna be able to move around and hit, not get hit. We have similar styles in that sense. So I think he'll be able to get the job done, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aljo gets it done.
Okay, thank you.
And we will take our next question from Alistair Bishop with MMA Republic.
Sugar Sean, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic, man. I just wanted to ask you, we've recently just seen a picture emerge of you in phenomenal physical shape. And the question that came straight to mind is, you're obviously a taller guy, way taller than the average bantamweight. Do you see a future at bantamweight, like a long future, or would you eventually consider featherweight as you get a bit bigger in size?
My mindset right now is I want to become champ, and I want to defend the belt, and I want to be the best bantamweight ever before I move up to featherweight. But it's hard to say, in the next 5 years I could put on too much weight just naturally and have to make that move up. I want to make an intelligent decision. I don't want to get stuck in the mindset of I have to be the best bantamweight ever. Because if I have to go up to featherweight, I have to. But right now, I want to get that belt and defend it.
And seeing that sort of shape that you're in, what is your weight cut been like?
Yeah, the weight cuts. I think I'm just like a pound heavier this camp than I was last weight cut, which was 3 months ago, and that weight cut went perfect. So I'm right on track, and it should come off pretty easy.
And is there anything specific that you change quite drastically in a fight week as opposed to your normal life?
No, this camp went just like last camp. I didn't spar as much, but with not sparring as much, I'm coming into this last fight. I think I said I was like 95% healthy. Couple little stingers from sparring. I don't have anything. I'm pretty much 100% going into this fight. So I mean, I didn't spar as much, but I'm more healthy. And I'll take that any day.
And the last one from me, Sean, we heard Chase Cooper before you mention time on the Contender Series. Do you think that mentally gives you a slight little advantage as to know what to expect in the Apex, having gone through the Contender Series?
I don't I don't know. It might affect some people. I don't see it. We're all fighters. You know, he's a vet. I feel like a vet. I've done 30 fights since I was 16 years old. I've fought in cages. I've fought in rings. I've fought in, all different. I don't think it matters. You know, we're both gonna show up and fight, and I don't think the size of the cage is gonna really play a difference too much.
Fantastic. Thank you, and all the best. A lot of South Africa will be tuning to watch you fight, and good luck, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we will take our last set of questions from Rodney Edgar with Cageside Press.
Hey, what's up? I know we're running out of time here, so I'll just keep it brief. So you talked about lack of sparring, man. Tell me a little bit more about that. Is this something that's new to your training camps? And if so, why take that approach?
I wouldn't consider it a lack of sparring. I don't know. I don't know I guess what's the definition of the lack? It sounds like almost like a negative thing. It wasn't. Like I said, I'd rather spar a little bit less and be more healthy than spar. It's a mental thing for a lot of people sparring. Like, did I spar? Did I go hard? I just had a full training camp 3 months ago and literally didn't get out of shape. I sparred. It's not like I didn't spar at all. I definitely sparred every Saturday leading up to it. I just wasn't doing. I wasn't sparring on Wednesday. I was sparring once a week, and it was actually really nice, really beneficial because you spar Wednesday and Saturday. You get injured a little bit Wednesday, it affects your Thursday, Friday, and then you're sparring Saturday with a little injury, and that affects the next week. So I was able to have a really, really healthy camp, this fight camp, which is pretty rare if you talk to most fighters. And I didn't feel the need to get hit in the head more. It's I think I probably will continue to do my camps like that.
I talked to you before the last fight there at the Apex, and we both agreed that hey, this was a tall order because you had the layoff. Then when you got in there, you had an amazing performance. I know every time that you win, it kind of just gives you a buzz, gives you a pep in your step, and that compounds with each win. So, how does your confidence feel compared to how it did? I mean, I know you're a super confident guy, you always have been, but obviously it's got to be through the roof at this point, no?
Yeah, it's the confidence. Just like I've said before, it comes from the hard work that I'm putting in, the disciplined lifestyle that I'm living. It's not just my training; it's my sleep, my recovery, my diet, my mindset. It's all those things that add up, plus the training I'm doing, that really gives me that confidence, that true self-belief that I have in myself. And I've been knocking people out since I was 16 years old, and I've lost like 2 amateur fights. And when I lost those fights, it wasn't because I didn't show up; it was because I didn't have the skill level that I needed to beat those guys. I think I got submitted twice early on as an amateur. So I'm just the confidence just comes from all the fights I've had, all the fight camps I've had, all the lessons I've learned, and I'm really excited to go out there.
So the MMA lab is relatively close. I mean, obviously the situation that's going on in the world totally sucks with the civil unrest and COVID on top of that. But for those of us who are on the West Coast, in a way, who either fight or who cover the sport, we kind of left out in a sense that we're so close to the hub. So what was the transition like from? Did you guys fly? How did you drive? When did you get here, etc.?
Yeah, my training camp, the lab did close down for a little bit, but Tim has his gym, who's my head coach. So we just had practice at his place. We invited a couple people, and it was It was actually really nice. It was a good camp. And then the lab had, smaller classes eventually towards the end of camp, so we were able to go there. We drove in on Monday morning and got set up. So we usually come Sunday, Monday before fight week, just a day or two early, get situated, and it's been good. Fight week's been good. Everything's pretty much went perfect.
One more real quick before you get out of here. So, I have to ask all Contender Series alum, you're one of the OG Contender Series guys because you fought in that sweat box over there at the Ultimate Fighter gym. Are you a little bit jealous when you see what these guys are getting nowadays, or do you go, you know what, I'm an OG, so it kind of gives me a little chip on my shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, unless I get asked about it, like now, I literally don't think about it. It doesn't come up too much, but I guess it was pretty cool to be able to fight in a different place than they have them now. It was pretty OG. I think looking back at when I'm all done, when it's all said and done, it'll be, I'll be a legend of the Contender Series.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Sean. That is all the time we had for you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.